Hello everyone, welcome to the Mercury Virtual. Hope you are doing good. Today I am going to continue with your same module, that is a database design concepts, and the same chapter, that is chapter number 9, that is application design and the development. That is how to design the application and how to develop the application by using various design method, by using various alternative method, that is application design and the development. The last class we have started with this chapter, that is application design and the development, and we have covered topics of the chapter number 9, that is how to design the application and how to develop the application, that is the application design and the development. So let's start with the previous class session, that is what we have covered in the last class, then moves to the today's topic, that is Servlet. So let's start with the chapter number 9. So this is chapter number 9, that is the application design and the development. So practically when we using the database, that is there is a application program that is used with the database. Suppose if I'm using any application program, any C language, any C++ language that is used for the designing purpose, and there is also a development part for designing the application program. So practically all use of databases occurs from within the application programs. Correspondingly, almost every user interaction with the database is indirect, that is via the application program. That is every database or every database must be concerned with the application program. That is whenever I want to update in the database, then I have to use the application program. So every interaction, every user interaction with the database is done with the use of the application program. So the application program is acts as a mediator between the user and the database. In this chapter, we study tools and the technologies that are used to build the applications, focusing on the interactive application that use the database to store the product or store the data. Then we have studied about the application programs and the user interfaces. That is, what are the application programs and what are the various user interfaces that is used with the database. So that is application programs and the user interfaces. So what is application program? So whenever we use any program that runs application, that runs on application, that is known as the application programs. So most of the people or many people interact with the database, and very few people use a query language to interact with the database directly. So most of the people rely on the application program, and few of the people are relied or are using the or query language to deal with the database. But most of you or most of us also, I also use the application program for interacting with the database. So first of all, the application program. So any program or any application that takes the input from the user, process it, and then displays the output or provides the output to the user, that is known as the application program. That is, it takes the input from the user, feeds all the data into the database, and display the database scenario, display the database tables in the form of the tables to the users or to the customers or to the end users. That is a application program. And these are the various architecture that we have studied about the in the last class. That is, one is the mainframe era, that is a mainframe computer in which there is a mainframe computer, there is a proprietary network or the dial-up network, and there are two computers that are connected with each other. Then there is a personal computer era, there is a database, there is a local area network, there is a application program and the application development. Then there is a web era, that is, in this there is a internet, there is a web application server. So in the mainframe computers we are using the proprietary network, that is how the proprietary network will be used. Then in the personal computer area there is a LAN, that is a local area network, and in the web era there is internet, that is a web application server that is using the database, that is connecting with the web browsers. This is one of the important line that we have studied, that a typical application program includes a front-end component which deals with the user interface, a back-end component which communicate with the database, and a middle layer which contains the business logic, that is a code that executes specific requests for information or updates. So a typical application program that is used, that includes a front-end component that deals with the user interface, a back-end component that communicate with the database, and the middle layer. So one is a front end that is visible to the user, one is a back end that communicate with the database, and there's a middle layer also that contains a business logic. That is what is the code behind the business logic, how the data will be displayed to the user. That is a middle layer that is contains a business logic. Application architectures have evolved over time in the uh, past recent areas. So in the past 15 years, web browsers have become the universal front end to database applications, connecting to the back end through the internet browser that uses a standardized syntax, that is the HTML, that is a hypertext markup language, that is a standard that supports both formatted display of information and creation of form-based or the forms-based interfaces. So what is HTML? That is a hypertext markup language. That is a language that is a standard that is used by the operating system. Then we have talked about the web fundamentals. That is some fundamental about the web, about the, we can say, the www. So first we have studied about the URL, that is a uniform resource locator that is available in the address bar. So whenever I want to search anything, if I type simply in a Google, that is a google.com, then automatically in the address bar there is a http google.com, http gmail.com. For example, this one. Hello, 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 hello. Hello. Yeah, Larry, are you able to hear me? Hello. Hello, hello, hello. Hello, hello, hello. Hello. Okay. So one is a next is a web fundamental, that is a URL. So that is the URL is nothing but a globally unique name that is distributed for the each document. For example, when I type google.com in the Google or in the Yahoo, then automatically in the URL there is a URL count, that is the HTTP, that starts with the HTTP. For example, if I'm showing my email ID, this is my email ID. This is given https mail google.com, then 0 tab inbox. So this means this starts with the HTTP. This is the URL that is available in this one. So what is the URL? It is nothing but a unique name for the document that is available on the web. And how the information will be accessed with the help of HTTP, that will be accessed by the hypertext transfer protocol, that is the HTTP. So this is the example that we have studied. So what is HTTP? That is a protocol that is used for transferring the HTML document. So whenever I want to transfer something, whenever I want to transfer the HTML document, that will be transferred by using the HTTP. The second part gives the name of a machine that has a web server. So second part is the name of the machine, that is, for example, google.com. The rest of the URL is a path or the name of the file on the machine or unique identifier of a document within the machine. Then next is the hypertext markup language, that is the HTML. That is a language, it is a scripting language that is used for writing the hypertext, that is used for writing the hyper language, that is the hypertext markup language. So whenever I want to represent something, whenever I want to represent the HTML document, that will be written or that will be done by using the HTML, that is the hypertext markup language. And there are so many tags available in HTML that is shown in detail. So this is the HTML, this is the table that is created, this is the example of the HTML, this is the coding. First of all, we have used that HTML tag, then there is a body tag, then there is a table tag, then tr, td, ts. So these are the various tags that we have discussed in the last class. And this is the output of this one, that is there is a heading, that is the ID, name, department, and there are 3 fields that is available in the HTML code. And this is the HTML form, that is how to create the form in the HTML, that have a rows, that have a table, that have a cells, that is represented or specified by the td tag. We do not go in more details about the tags here, because this is a more, we can say, the deep topic, or we can say the separate topic in the web fundamental, that is the HTML. Figure 9.4 shows how to specify an HTML form that allows users to select the person type from a menu, and how to give the input, or how to take the input a value in the text boxes. So HTML defines two ways in which the values entered by the user can send to the web browser. This is the method how to use. There's the HTTP, then google.com, then search, then silver cats. Then this is the search for the student. Then there is a name, then submit. That is a display of the HTML source from the figure 9.4. So what are the various methods that is used? There is a post method, there is a get method that is used with the HTTP or with the HTML. Then we have studied about the web server and the sessions. So what is a web server? That is a server or there is a program that is run on the server machine. So whenever my program is running on the server machine, that is a web server. And there is a CGI, that is the common gateway interface, and these are the two-layer architecture, or these are the two types of architecture. One is a three-layer architecture, one is a two-layer architecture. This is the network, this is the browser, these are the web browsers, application server, database server that is available in the HTML. So this is a three-layer architecture. That is database is divided into three parts. One is the web server, one is the application server, and one is the database server. So there are three parts in this server. There is a three connectivity that is available in the, or that is available with the database. One is the web server, application server, database server. Then this is the two-level architecture. Now the web server and the application server are combined into one place, and there is a database server that is connected or that is communicating with the database. So this is the web server and the application server, and there is a database server. This is the two-layer architecture. And one of the important point is that HTTP is a connectionless. That is, most people on most computers have a limit on the number of simultaneous connection that they accommodate. That is, there is a limited connection. There is a, we can say the most computers has a limit on the number of the web functions, on the number of the web open, or the number of the web open connection to a single server. This limit would not be or would be exceeded, denying service to the further users. With the connectionless protocol, the connection can be broken as soon as a request is satisfied, leaving connection available for other requests. So when a connection is maintained, that is, a connectionless means there is no proper circuit. Whenever the connection is maintained, then the path will be established. Then the once the communication is over, then the path will be deactivated. That is a connectionless server. And there is a cookie that is also available. So cookie is simply a piece of text that contains the identifying information and with the associated name. That is, there is identifying information, or there is a information that is available in the identification and with an associated name. That is a cookie. That is a small piece of text. Then servlets and the JSPs. That is, what is a servlet and what is a JSP, that we have also talked about in the last class. So what is servlet? That is a program, or we can say that defines an application program. This is one of the part that is available, or this is one of the, we can say, the part that is available of the Java programming. So servlet is refers to the Java program and the class that implements a servlet or servlet interface. So if I want to use, or if I want to refer the Java program or the class that contains or that implements the servlet or servlet interface, that is done by using the servlets. The code for a servlet is loaded into the web server when the server is started. So automatically the code that is given for the servlet, that is automatically loaded into the web server when the server is started, or when a server receives a HTTP request. And this is the example of the servlet. There is an example that is given. This is the example that we have discussed. That is the person query request. There is a get request. That is a font request that is available on the person query. Then next is a servlet session. That is how to use the servlet session, or what are the various servlet session that is used. So this is the method that is used to get the servlet session. That is, what is the session of the servlet that is available in this one, that we have also discussed. So this is done by using the session.set attribute. There is a user ID, there is a user ID. Then there is a session.get attribute, there is a user ID. This is used how to get the servlet session, that is how to maintain the servlet session. Then the next part is servlet lifecycle. That is today's topic. That is what is the life cycle of the servlet, or what are the various phases that is available in the servlet. So this says the life cycle of a servlet is controlled by the web browser. So whenever we are talking about the web servlet or web servlet in the Java programming, that is controlled by the web server in which the servlet has deployed. So if the servlets are deployed in the any material that is used, that is deployed or that is used by the web, or that is controlled by the web server. So that is the life cycle of the servlet that is controlled by the web server. So this is a servlet life cycle. That is the life cycle of the servlet. That is what are the various phases that is available in the servlet. So the life cycle of the servlet is controlled by the web server, that is in which the servlet has been deployed. When there is a client request for a specific servlet, so if a client request that is given into a specific servlet, the server first checks if an instance of the servlet exists or not. So that is a client's request that is available for the client or specific servlet. The server first check if the object of the servlet exists or not. If not, the web server loads the servlet or loads the servlet class into the Java virtual machine. So first of all, it is the duty of the web server to control each and everything of the servlet. So it first of all it checks the servlet that whether it exists or not. And if not, the server loads the servlet class into the Java virtual machine and creates an instance of the servlet class. In addition, the server calls the init method to initialize the server instance. So there is an init method that is used that calls the init method that is used to initialize the servlet instance. Notice that each servlet instance is initialized only once when it is loaded. So whenever there is a servlet, it is utilized or it is load only once. And there is an object that is used, that is a request object, and there is a response object that is used as a parameter. By default, the server creates a new thread to execute the servlet that is used in the parallel. The service method calls the doGet and the doPost as an appropriate functions. So when no longer required, the servlet can be shut down by calling the destroy function. So there is also option to shut down the servlet part, shut down the, or we can say the closes the servlet part, that is done by the destroy method. So there is a destroy method that is used whenever there is no requirement of the servlet that can be destroyed, or the servlet can be destroyed by using the destroy method. The server can be set up to automatically shut down a servlet if no request has been made or no request has been come within the time period. Then next is the servlet support. That is what is the various support or what are the various support that is available with the servlet. So this says many application servers provide built-in support for the server. So there are built-in support that is available for the server. One of the important popular part is Tomcat server from the Apache Jakarta project. So this is one of the important servlet that is available, that is the Apache Jakarta project. And other application objects or server that also support the servlet, that includes the Glassfish, JBoss, BIA, WebLogic application server, Oracle application server, and the IBM WebSphere application server. The best way to develop the servlet application is by using a IDE. So there is a method that is used to create the servlet application, that is done by the IDE, that is the Integrated Development Enterprise, such as the Eclipse or the NetBeans, which comes with the Tomcat or which comes with the Glassfish server built in. And application server usually provides a variety of the Indians or useful services in addition to the basic servlet supports. Then next is server-side scripting. That is, what is the server-side scripting, or how we write the server-side scripting, or how to write the script on the server side. So writing even a simple web application in a programming language such as Java or C is a time consuming. That requires many lines of code, and the programmer who are familiar with the intricacy, or we can say the errors of the language. So whenever we write the program, that is a very we can say the tricky method, that is a very long method that is used with the line of the code, that is very time consuming method. So an alternative approach that is used, or that of the server side scripting, that provides a much easier method for creating many applications. So there are many applications that is available with the server side scripting. Scripting languages provides constructs that can be embedded within the HTML document. So whenever we use the scripting language, that can be embedded using the HTML document. In server-side scripting, before delivering a web page, the server executes the script automatically, that is embedded in the, or that is embedded within the HTML contents of the page. That is, whenever we use the server-side scripting, so automatically the code will be embedded. So there is no requirement that the code will be used, or there is no requirement that the code will be enabled or the established within the HTML document. The source code of the script is removed from the page so that the client may not be aware of the page originally developed. Some of the widely used scripting language includes a JSP from the Sun, ASP and its successor, that is the ASP.NET from the Microsoft. So these are the various widely used scripting languages that is available, like JSP, that is the Java server pages, then active server pages, and the ASP.NET from the Microsoft. And there is a CFML also, that is a cold fusion markup languages. We briefly describe below Java server pages, that is a JSP, that is a scripting language that uses or that allows the HTML programmers to mix the static HTML with the dynamic HTML. So it is used, or JSP is a language that is used to connect, or it is a scripting language that allows the HTML programmers, or it allows HTML programmers to mix static HTML with the dynamic HTML. So there is a mixture of the static HTML as well as the dynamic HTML. The motivation is that for many dynamic web pages, most of their content is still static. That is, most of their content that is available is still static. That is, the same content is present whenever the page is generated. The dynamic content of the web page that is available is often a small part of the page. Creating such pages by using the servlet results in the large amount of HTML code as a Java string. So what is a JSP? That is Java server pages, or that is a scripting language that allows a HTML programmer to mix the static HTML with the dynamic HTML. And creating such pages also allows the Java code being executed. Figure 9.9 shows that source text of our JSP page that includes embedded Java code. So there is the embedded Java code that is available with the JSP. So this is the HTML, then there is a head, then there is a title, hello, title, head. So this is the first of all there is a HTML, then there is a head, then the title there is a hello. Then in the body there is a method that is a if request.get parameter name equals to null. That is, if the null name value has a null value, or if the name has a null value, then simply println hello world. Then simply print the line that is the hello world. Else out.println hello, then there is a plus that is also used, that is a request code get parameter. So first of all there is a word that is a print that is printed on the screen, that is a hello world. Otherwise there is a word or there is a line that is printed, that is a hello plus request dot get parameter name. Then there is a body that is closed, then there is a HTML. So this is the JSP page that is with the embedded Java code. So this is the Java page or JSP page that is available with the Java code. Now this is important part. The Java code is represented within the HTML by using this sign, that is a percentage sign, percentage sign. So this is available like this one. This is the percentage sign that is available. This is the starting one and this is the ending one. So there are two parts. One is the starting and the ending points. And the code users or the code uses request.get parameter to get the values of the attribute name. And when the JSP page is requested by the browser, the application server generates HTML output from the page. So whenever application server requests, so there is output that is coming from the HTML page, that is sent back to the browser. The HTML part of the JSP page is output as it is, that is used. Then there is a PHP, some knowledge about the PHP. PHP is also scripting language that is used for the server-side scripting. So Java is also a server-side scripting. PHP is also server-side scripting, that is a PHP. Then PHP code can be intermixed with the HTML that is similar to the JSP. That is, we can mix or we can write the code in the HTML by using the PHP, just similar to the JSP. Now, how the characters are embedded in the HTML by uses this sign. That is the question mark PHP that includes the start of the, indicates the start of the PHP code, while the characters, this one, that indicates the end of the PHP code. The following code performs the same actions as the JSP codes in the figure 9.9 that is available. This is the HTML, this is the head, this is the title, then hello, then title close, and then there is a head close. Then there is a body that is available, then there is a PHP. Now if is set request name. So if is set that is available, then the name of the request of the name, then there is a echo, that is hello world, that is a print hello world. Otherwise prints hello, then there is a request name, then there is a body, then there is a HTML. So the array sRequest contains the request parameters. Note that the array is indexed by the parameter name. In PHP, arrays can be indexed by the arbitrary string that is available, not just the numbers. Suitability configured, web browser would interpret any files whose name ends with in the PHP to be a PHP file. And a number of libraries are available for the PHP language that includes the library for the database access using the ODBC. So there are a number of libraries that is available for the PHP language that includes the library for the databases access that is using the ODBC, that is the Open Database Connectivity, that is similar to the JDBC in the Java, that is a Java database connectivity. And JSP also supports the concept of a tag library that allows the use of the various tags that it looks like similar to the HTML tags. Now next is the client-side scripting. That is what is the client-side scripting that is available in the JSP. So embedding of the program code in document allows web pages to be active. So whatever the program that is available, whenever we embed anything that is available in the program, in the documents, allows the web pages that is to be active, carrying out activities such as animation by executing the programs at a local site instead of just presenting passive text in the graphics. So whenever we embed any code, whenever we embed any program code that is that allows the web pages to be active, that allows how the web pages are active and how to represent the web pages. That is from the server side, that is from the client side. What is the danger? That in supporting such program, that if the design of the system is done carelessly, so whatever the design that is available that is done carelessly, program code embedded in the web page can perform malicious actions on the web, on the user's computer. So whatever the malicious program that is available on the user's computer. The malicious actions could range from reading private information to deleting or modifying the information on the computer. A number of email viruses had spread widely in recent years in this way. That is, there are so many viruses, there are so many email viruses that is available in the email, or that is available in the client servers. So while Java is a full-fledged programming language, there are simpler languages known as the scripting language that can enrich user interaction while providing the same protection as the Java. These languages have a construct, these languages have a language that is available that can be embedded in the HTML document. So whenever I want to embed any HTML document, that is done by the client-side scripting language. So what is the client-side scripting languages? That is a languages that is designed on the client web browser. So till now we studied about the server-side scripting that is available on the server side. Now next is the client-side scripting that is designed to be executed on the client's web browser that is available in the HTML. Of these, the JavaScript language is by far the most widely used. The current generation of the web interfaces uses the JavaScript scripting language that is used to construct sophisticated user interfaces. JavaScript is used for a variety of tasks. JavaScript is used for an n number of tasks for a variety of tasks. For example, the function that is written in the JavaScript can be used to perform error checks or user input such as a date, that can be string that is being properly formatted, that is the proper month, then day, then the year, that is the value entered can be in the proper or appropriate range of nodes. So there is also the condition that we apply on the JavaScripting, or we can apply on the client side scripting that is available on the Java. Figure 9.10 shows an example of a JavaScript function. Now which is figure 9.10, that is in the lower side. Yeah, this is an example of the JavaScript to validate the form input. First of all, there is a HTML, then there is a head. So what is the scripting language that is used? That is a JavaScript. So in this we have mentioned that the scripting language that is used is the JavaScript. Then what is the name of the function? That is a validate function. Then what are the various variables? Well, the variable name is credits that contains the document dot get element by id credits dot value. That is the credits is the, we can say, the variable name that is available that gets the document dot get element id by credit, and the value will be generated from this one. Then if is NA n credits, or credit is less than or less than equals to 0, or credit is greater than equals to 16. So it is less than 0 or equals to 0 and the less than 16. Then alert, credit must be a number greater than the 0 and the less than the 16. So this is the alert that is given, that if the condition is not satisfied, or if the condition is satisfied, that simply gives that number must be greater than 0 and less than 16. Then return false. Then there is a script, then there is a head, then there is a body, then form action equals to create course, on submit, return, validate. Then there is a title, then there is a credit, that is in the title there is a text box that is given, that is the size of the 20 characters. Then in credits there is a type, that is also a text, that is all credits, that size is equals to 2. Then there is a submit button, and that is type equals to submit, value equals to submit, and the form will be closed, body will be closed, HTML will be closed. Right. So figure 9.10 shows an example of the JavaScript function that is used to validate a form input. The form is declared in the head section of the HTML document. The form tag specifies that the validation function is to be invoked when the form is submitted. If the validation fails, an alert box is shown to the user. If it succeeds, the form is submitted to the server. Now JavaScript can also be used to modify dynamically the HTML code that is being displayed. That is displaying by using the content by using the standard, that is a document object model, that is a DOM. Today JavaScript is widely used to create dynamic web pages using several technology that are collectively known as the Ajax. Program that is written in the JavaScript that is communicate with the web server asynchronously, that can fetch the data and that displays the output. There are also special purpose scripting languages that is used for the specialized tasks such as the animation and a three-dimensional model, that is a VRML, that is a virtual reality markup language. That is Flash is the most widely used today, not only for the animation but also handling the streaming video content, that is also available with the JavaScript. Now the next topic is application architecture, that is what are the various architectures that is available or that is used for the application, that is the application architecture. This point says to handle their architectures or to handle their complexity, large applications are often broken into several layers. So whenever there is a large complexity, whenever I want to handle the large complexity, the large application that will be used, that is broken into various layers, into several layers. Now what are the various layers? So first is the user interface layer or the presentation layer, that is seen or that is used by the user interface or that is seen by the user, that is the presentation layer or the user interface layer. That deals with the user interaction. A single application that may have several versions of this layer corresponding to the different types of interfaces such as web browser and the user interface of mobile phones, which have much smaller screens. So what is the presentation layer or the user interface layer? That is a layer that deals with the user interaction. In many implementations, the presentation user interface layer is it's conceptually broken up into the layer based on the model view controller, that is the MVC architecture. So there is a layer that is also available that is known as the MVC, that is a model view controller. This view defines the presentation of the data, a single underlying model that have different views depending on the specific software device that is used to access the application. So this is the model, this is the view that is available with the specific device that is used with the application. The controller receives the input or the event and executes actions on the model and returns a view to the user. The MVC, that is the architecture that is used in a number of web application frameworks which are discussed in the 9.5.2. The first layer is the presentation of the interface layer, that is a layer that is used with the user, or that is most common, or that is most widely used by the user, that deals with the user interaction. So whenever a user wants to interact, that interaction will be provided by the user interface layer. Now next is the business logic layer that provides a high level view of the data and applications or actions on the data. So what are the various layers? This is the business logic layer, that is a high level view of the data and actions are available on the data. Then data access layer, that is provides the interface between the business logic and the database. That is how to deal with the business logic and how to deal with the database, that is a data access layer. And many application uses an object oriented language to code the business logic layer and uses an object oriented model while using the database in the relational model. So whenever there is a relational model that is available, that can be accessed by using the data access layer. So one first of the layer is user interface layer, then there is a business logic layer, then there is a data access layer. Now, what is the business logic layer that is available? This is the diagram that shows the web application architecture. There is a web browser, there is an internet. Web browser is connected with the internet. Then there is a controller, that is the first part. Then there is a model, second part. Then there is a data access layer. Then there is a database. Then in the fifth part, from model to the controller, from controller to the view, and from controller to the internet. That is a web application architecture. Now first is the business logic layer. So let's take a break right now, then move to these different layers in the we can say the in detail, that is what is the business logic layer, what is the data access layer. So first of all, let's take a break, then move to this topic, that is the business logic layer. Right, so let's take a break right now. So come back from the break. Now let's start the session again. So next topic is business logic models or the business logic layer that is available in the that is a part of the we can say the various layers of the architecture or various layers that is available in this one. That is various layers of the application or the application architecture. So it is saying the business logic layer of an application for managing a university may provide various abstractions of entities such as student, instructor, courses, section, etc. and the actions such as admitting a student, enrolling a student, and so on. So these are the various business logic layer that is available with the various universities that provides the various entities such as student, instructors, courses, section, etc. and what are the various actions that is available on these various entities like instructor, like student. So what are the various entities or what are the various actions such as admitting a student to the university and enrolling a student in a course and so on. The code that is implementing these actions. So what is the code that is available in implementing these actions that ensures that the business rules are satisfied. That is the business rules are satisfied with the business logics. For example, the code would ensure that a student can enroll for a course only if she has already completed the course prerequisite and has paid her tuition fees. In addition, the business logic includes a workflow that describes how a particular task involves multiple participants is handled. That is how we can improve or how we can use the business logic or the business logic layer. Then the next is the data access layer and the object relational mapping. So first one is business logic layer, the next layer is data access layer. That is how to access the data or what are the various scenario that is used with the data accessing layers. So in the simplest scenario where the business logic layer uses the same data model as the database, the access layer has a simple or simply hides the details of interfacing with the database. So that is how to hide the details of the interfacing that is available with the database. However, when the business logic layer is written using an object-oriented language, it is natural to model data as an object. So it is natural to model what are the various data objects or what are the various data that is available as an object with the method that is invoked on these objects. So in the early implementations, programmer has to write the code for creating the objects, and these object that will be developed a database system that stores the object and relationship about the object. Such databases are known as the object-oriented databases. So these are the databases that is available that is stored in the object-oriented databases. An alternative approach that is using the traditional relational databases to store the value but to automate the mapping that is done, that is created on the demand. So whenever we use the traditional databases, that is storing the data is available, but whenever I want to automate the data, that mapping is done in the memory objects that can be created on the demand. Several systems have been developed to implement such object relational mapping. The Hibernate system is widely used for mapping from the Java servlets or objects in the or to the relations. In the Hibernate, the mapping from each Java class to one or more class or relations is specified in the mapping file. So what is the Hibernate? That is the mapping from the Java class that is used with the relations that is specified in the mapping files. The mapping file can specify, for example, that a Java class known as the student is mapped to the relation student. So what is a Java class? That is a student that is mapped to the table student. That is how Java class is mapped, or how Java class is connected with the or mapped with the relation with the table that is a student table, with a Java attribute ID that is mapped to the attribute student.id. So there is the attribute that is given with the Java, that is the ID. There is the attribute that is given to the student, that is also ID, and so on. Information about the database should, or such as the host on which it is running, the username and the password for connecting the database are the properties of a file. This is a session.save student that is available. A list of the object can be retrieved from the database by executing the query written in the Hibernate query language. So what are there are a list of objects that can be retrieved from the database by executing a query that is written in the Hibernate query language, that is very similar to executing a query using the JDBC. So there is a query that is running on the JDBC that is available with the use of the result set that contains a set of the tuples. So while entity in an ER model naturally correspond to the objects in an object-oriented such as Java, relationship often do not. Now what is a Hibernate example? This is the example of the Hibernate that we are using for creating a class of the student relation. This is a public class student. There is a string ID, string name, string department, int total credit, student, string ID, name, department, total credit. So this is the public class that is declared, that is a student class. And these are the various, we can say the functions, we can say the member functions. One is ID, then there is a name, then there is a department, then there is a total credits, and there is a student, then there is a ID, name, department, total credit. So these are the various strings that is used in the total, that is used in the student. To be more precise, the class attribute should be declared as a private, and getting the better solution or the method should be provided to access the attributes. So Microsoft has developed a data model that is known as the entity data model, which can be viewed as a variant of the entity relationship model, and an associated framework known as the ADO.NET entity framework. So entity data model is used as a data model that is used to develop the ADO.NET entity framework, which can map the data between the entity data model and the relational database. The framework also provides an SQL-like query language that is known as the entity SQL. So there is an entity data model, there is an entity SQL that is used with the like a SQL that operates directly on the entity data model. Then next is the web services. So any services that is provided on the web, or any services that is provided or the system support, that is known as the web service. And one of the web service that is available is the RST or REST, that is a representative state transfer. That is a function that is called by the HTTP request by the URL. Right. Then next is the disconnected operation, that is what are the various tools or what are the various applications that wish to support the disconnected operations. So many applications that wish to support such some operations even when a client is disconnected from the application server. So the student may wish to fill an application form even if her laptop is disconnected from the network. So these are the various points that is available with the, we can say, the designing architecture of the application. Now next is RAD, that is a rapid application development. So that is the next point, that is a rapid application development. So this says if web applications are built without using tools or libraries for constructing user interface. So if I'm using the web application that are built using the tools that are built using the libraries for constructing the user interface, the programming effort required to construct the user interface can be significantly more than that required for the business logic. So whatever the effort that is available that is done to construct the business logic, to construct the user interface for the business logics and the database access. Several approaches have been accepted or have been developed to reduce the effort that is required to build application. So there is a concept that is known as a rapid application development. So rapidly the application will be developed, that is developed by using the various tools, by using various technologies, that is known as the rapid application development. So this says if the web applications are built without using tools or libraries for constructing the web user face or user interface, the programming effort must be required to construct the user interface on more than one business logic and the database access. And different approaches have been developed to reduce the effort that is required to build the application. Now what are the various approaches that is built? First one is provides a library of functions to generate user interface elements with minimum or minimal programming. So provides a various function, provides a library of functions that is used to get or that is used to generate the user interface elements. Then next provides the drag and drop features in an integrated development environment that allows user interface element to be dragged from a menu into the design view of a page. Next automatically generates the code for the user interface from a declarative specifications. All these approaches have been used for creating the user interface well before the web was created. That is a part of the rapid application development, that is a RAD tools. Now, what are the various examples that is using the RAD, that is a rapid application development, are the Apex, that is the Oracle Application Express, then Oracle Forms, then Sybase Power Developer or Power Builder, then the Oracle Application Express. This is the rapid application development. Now, what are the various tools that is used for building the user interfaces? So this is many HTML constructs are best generated by using appropriately defined functions instead of being written as a part of the code of the web pages. For example, address form typically requires a menu that contains a country or the states. Instead of writing lengthy HTML code to create the required menu each time it is used, it is preferable to define a function that is or that gives the output, that gives the menu and calls the function whenever required. So it is better to write the normal function, write the normal HTML code that is used to generate the output. Now forms to input the date and the time or the input that require validation are the similar, that is by calling by using the functions. These are the various examples. This is the very theory. Now what are the next is the web application framework, that is what are the various framework that is available in the web pages. So there are a number of application framework that will be built or that is used or that provide common factors, use factors such as object oriented model that is used with the object relational mapping to store the data in the relational database. So one first part is a web object oriented model that is used with the object relational mapping that is done to store the data in the relational database. Then next, a declarative way of specifying a form with validation constraints on user inputs from which the user generates the HTML code, that is by which the user generates an HTML code, that is a declarative statement, that is a JavaScript. Then a template scripting system, that is a JSP. Then a controller that maps the user interaction events such as form submit to the appropriate function that handles the event, that is a controller that maps or that controls the user interaction events. Therefore, these framework provides a variety of few features or variety of various functions that is available with the framework that are required to build the web applications in an integrated manner. By generating the forms or specification that is used and managing the data access transparently, the framework minimizes the amount of coding that the application or web application programmer has to carry out. Now, next is the report generators, or how to generate the reports, or what are the various tools that is used to generate the report. So there are a number of framework that is used on the various programming languages. So report generators are the tools that is used to generate human readable summary reports from a database. So these are the various we can say the automated tools that is available to generate the human readable summary reports from a database. They integrate the query in the database with the creation of formatting text and summary charts. For example, pie chart, bar chart that is available that is integrating the database with the formatting text. For example, a report may show the total sales in each of the past 2 months for the each sales reason. So if I want to represent the chart, if I want to represent the sales turnover of the company, that is represented by the or from the 2 months, that is represented by the using the various charts like pie chart, bar chart. The application developer can specify the report format by using the formatting facilities of the report generator. Once we have defined a report structure on a report generator facility, we can store it and execute it anytime to generate a report. So report generator system provides a variety of facilities for structuring the tabular output. So this is representing in the tabular form, such as defining the tables, defining the column headers, displaying the subtotal, and automatically split up or automatically splitting the long table into the multiple pages. And various tools are also available from the various vendors, that is the report generation tools such as Crystal Reports, Microsoft SQL Reports, and these applications or the processes are used as embedding formatting query result that is from a database that is directly connected to the document. The charts are created initially from a data generated by executing the against the query database or against the query language. In addition to generating the static reports, the report generation tool supports the creation of the interactive reports. So in addition to the static report, there is a report generation tool that also creates the interactive reports. Now, next is the application performances, that is how to measure the or what are the various performances that is done or that is denoted by the application. So what are the various, we can say, the outcomes of the applications. So website may be accessed by millions of people from across the globe. So if I use one website that can be accessed, that can be used by millions of the people in the across the globe at rate of thousands of requests per second or even more from the most popular sites. Ensuring that requests are served with low response time is a major challenge for website developer. To do so, application developer try to speed up the processing of the individual request by using the techniques such as caching and exploit the parallel processing by using the multiple application server. So whenever we use the application performance, whenever we use the application development, that is try to speed up the performances, getting the speed of the individual request that is done like caching, parallel processing that is done with the multiple application servers. Now, what are the various, we can say the metrics, what are the various effects that is affecting the performance of the application? The first part is reducing the overhead by the caching. So we use the caching, we use the cache memory that is reduce the overhead, that reduce the cost that is available in the that affects the performance of the application. So the caching techniques of various types are used to exploit the common between the transactions. That is reducing the caching by using or reducing the overheads by using the caching technologies. The connection pooling method is used to reduce the overhead. So there is a method that is used, that is the connection pooling method. A common error that may programmers make while creating the web application is to forget to close an open JDBC connection. Now certain requests may result in exactly the same query being resubmitted to the database. Now next is the parallel processing that is available. So a commonly used approach to handle such very heavy loads is to use a large number of application servers that is running in the parallel, that is the parallel processing. Each handling a fraction of the request. A web server on the network or a network router can be used to route each client request to one of the application server, that is a web server, that is a parallel processing. Now next is the application security. So this is the there are two parts of the application performance. One is the parallel processing, one is the reducing the overheads by the caching. Now next is the application security, that is what are the how to secure the application, what are the various security mechanisms that is available in the application. So application security has to deal with several security threats and issues that is beyond those handled by the SQL authorization. So security will be enabled, or the security is has to get with the various security threats and the various issues that is handled by the SQL authorization. So application security has to deal with several security threats and the various issues. The first point whose security has to be enforced is in the application. To do so, applications must authenticate users and ensure that users are only allowed to carry out the authorized task. So users are only persons, or ensure that the users are only allowed to carry out the authorized task. There are many ways in which an application security can be compromised. So there are many parts, there are many ways by which the application security can be compromised, even if the database system is itself secure due to badly written application code. In this section, we describe various security loopholes that can permit hackers to carry out the action. So what are the various security loopholes that is available, or that disable the proper security of the application? Now, first is the SQL injection. This is the attack that the attacker managed to get the application to execute an SQL query created by the attacker. So if the hacker or attacker creates a query that is of SQL, that is of structured query language, that means there is a SQL injection that is injected by the hackers, that is injected by the crackers, that is injected by the attackers. Now next is cross-site scripting and the request forgery. So there are sometimes there is a cross-site scripting is also available. There is a attack that is known as the cross-site scripting attack. A website that allows the user to enter the text such as comment or a name and then stores it and later displays it to the other users. It is potentially vulnerable to a kind of the attack that is known as the cross-site scripting. So a website that allows the user to enter, comment, later it is displayed to the other users, and potentially it is vulnerable, it is given to a kind of the attack that is known as the cross-site scripting attack. In such an attack, a malicious user enters the code written in a client-side scripting language such as JavaScript or the Flash instead of the entering a valid name or the comment. When a different user views the entered text, the browser would execute the script, which then carry out the actions such as sending the private cookie information to the malicious users. Now this is a code that is img src, that is equals to the http my bank account that is available. Now cross-site scripting is also done by in other ways, that such as luring a user into visiting a website that has a malicious script. So to protect against such attacks, two things need to be done. So whenever I want to protect the attacks, the two things or the two method can be used. First is prevent your website from being used to launch the XSS or the XSRF attack. Then protect your website from XSS or the XSRF attacks launched from the other websites. So these are the various, we can say, the security loophole that is available. Next important security loophole that is available is the password leakage. Sometimes the password will be leaked from the application or by the application developer that deals with the storing the passwords, and there is a clear connection with the application code. For example, programs such as DSP script often contains a password in a clear text. In such a scripts that is stored in a directory that is accessible by the web servers. Next, application authentication. Sometimes the authentication also fails. Sometimes the username and the password does not matches. That is a application authentication that also fails in the application environment. That is application authentication. So passwords are used as a factor or as a first factor in most such two-factor authentication schemes. Smart card or the encryption devices that is connected with the USB interface that can be used for the authentication based on the encryption techniques. One-time password devices generates a new pseudo-random number every minute are widely used as a second factor. So there is a facility that is also provided, that is a one-time password devices that is used to generate the pseudo-random number, that is a one-time password that is available with the devices. Yet another second approach is to send a SMS, that is a one-time password, to the user phone whenever the user wishes to log into the application. These are the various techniques that we are using. Suppose I am filling one online form. I have to deposit the fees. That fees will be deposited by the method of the one-time password. A one-time password will come on the mobile phone. Then I enter the one-time password. Then only the payment will be succeeded. That is a one-time password. So users may still be vulnerable to the man-in-the-middle attack. A simple login also allows the user authenticated only once, and the multiple applications can verify the user identity in the multiple forms. And there is a next language that is available, that is a security assertion markup language, that is a standard for exchanging the authentication and authorization information between different security domains. That is a security assertion markup language. Then there is OpenID, that is a standard, that is an alternative for the single sign-on across organizations. Then next is the application level authorization, that is a SQL standard that supports a fairly flexible system of authorization that is based on the roles. That is the application level authorization. This is the authorization model that plays an important role in managing the user authentication or authorization in a typical application. Now, such application cannot be specified in SQL or cannot be used in the SQL because of the two reasons. What are the two reasons? Lack of the end user information. So when the information is not clear about the user, so there is a lacking of the information, and this is one of the important factor that's why the authorization does not, we can say there is no full-fledged authorization that is available in the security concerns. Then next is the lack of the fine-grained authorization. That is, at the different level we have to authorize every student, we can say every user that is authorizing the user. Suppose there is a captcha rule, there is a captcha image, there is a captcha code that is available in the authorization part. So while carrying out the authorization in the application, that gives a great deal of the flexibility to the application developer. Now what are the various problems? The code for checking becomes intermixed with the rest of the application code. So there are different mechanisms, there are different codes that is available. So there is a different checks, we can say there is a different checking authorization that mix with the different part, that mix with the different or rest of the application code. Then the implementing the authorization through application code rather than specifying declarative in SQL makes it hard to ensure the absence of the loopholes. And there is also a virtual database that allows the system admin to use the audit part. Next is the audit trail, that is a log of all the changes like insert, delete, update to the application data along with the information such as the user performed the changes and what are the or when the changes was performed. That is the audit trail. That means a trail or every information about every change, that is the audit trail. That is every information or every log of the information, any changes, either it may be insertion, either it may be deletion, either it may be updation. So any changes that is available, that is done with the, or that is known as the audit trail. That is done along with the information such as which user performed the changes and when the change was performed. For example, if a student grade is found to be incorrect, the audit log can be examined to locate when and how the grade was updated. Audit trails can be used or can also be used to detect security breaches when a user or where a user account is compromised and accessed by the intruder. So audit trail can also be used to detect the security loopholes. Next, privacy, that is a personal information are also available sometime online, that is a risk of the private information. Suppose I entered my user ID and the password and I forgot to log out my email ID. That is also main concern, that is a main security loophole, that is a privacy, that is a private information is lost or there is no security among the private information. Now next is the encryption and its application, important part, that is how to encrypt the data, how to decrypt the data, what is the main advantage of encryption, that we studied in the next class. So that's all for today's session. So thank you so much everyone. Now if there is any doubts, any confusions, you can ask the doubts from me. So in the next class, that is in the tomorrow's class, I will be taking your next topic, that is the encryption and its applications, right? So that's all for today's session. Thank you so much everyone for listening me, and bye bye everyone.